girls, and they wanted to find how can we find an event that honors young men in the district and region too as well, recognizing that we are all young kings. What does that look like? Giving them something to look up to, but then also doing what boys do, finding ways to compete, participating in some virtual reality.
Some people might think to be a king means you have to dominate other people, to be at the highest level, you know, you have power over everyone. But to me, I think a king means you help out, you try the best you can, show effort in everything you do, and lift people up to do better.
To me, what being a king is just being your own person and being a leader.
I think anytime you have an opportunity for them to be celebrated, provide speakers, provide presentations from COSI to the City of Columbus to the mayor's office to the deputy and the sheriff's department, and just a number of administrators and people from the community who actually came out to support this event.
ICE Mentors here, which is a partner of Columbus City Prep for Boys, who's coming and talking about character building, male etiquette, you know, how we treat the ladies, right? Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am.
My mom, she pushed me. She support me. She just tell me what I need to do to go on in life. The best mom ever I could ever have.
Met with some of the younger kids, talked to them, really found that to be really interesting.
I've experienced many things, and one thing I've learned is how to socialize and communicate in difficult situations.
Being a leader, taking ownership of things that you have done.
I am a king, I am educated, right? Recognizing that these affirmations are imperative. The world already sees us one way, and our goal is to control our own narrative, but there's nothing that can stop us from achieving our goals.
I'm not a follower, because a follower can lead you into trouble and end your whole career. And I don't want that to happen to me. I want to move on and get a scholarship.
You was picked for a reason, and to really appreciate the others who helped you be in the spot that you are in now.
I could be a role model by doing the right thing, showing integrity, being service-minded, correcting people when they're doing the wrong thing.
There are other men here in high positions that are role models for these young men to say, here are the possibilities, here is what you can think about post-high school.
And there's no way we can do it individually. The needs are too great, but collectively we can make a significant impact. I hope that the event grows beyond just Region 2, just due to the fact that we're all now operating in isolation, but we're coming together collectively to do what's best for kids. Because, you know, my favorite poet once said, if there's no hope for the youth, then there's no hope for the future, i.e. Tupac Shakur.
I'm smart. I'm a young man. I'm an educated man. I am a king. Being able to remind themselves of that when you're having hard days, when the assignments are too hard, when the work doesn't make sense, when you fail a test, we embrace failure, understanding that at the end of the day, I am a king. And that's the message that we hope they take with them.
CCS Cinema Club, welcome. My name is Leia Gersing, and I'm here with, of course, Sarah Durr. And it's just us today, no special guests, because we're getting into this movie. We're talking about Dune Part 2 today.
What if Paul Atreides were still alive?
Going on adventures, flying in space, surfing ancient sandworms, and fighting in an interstellar war. Dune is the science fiction with a message to spread that we will be talking about today. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, Sarah, we're talking about Dune today. Are you excited?
I'm so excited. This movie was so good. I didn't know what to expect going into it, but I was I loved it. It was so good.
So when did you see...
Greetings and welcome to this week's highlights from across the district. October is National Principals Month, a time to celebrate the outstanding leaders who guide our schools with vision, dedication, and compassion. Our principals are not only administrators, they are mentors, advocates, and champions for every student's success. Join us in recognizing their hard work and commitment to creating positive learning environments that inspire our students to dream big and achieve more each and every day. Let's take this opportunity to express our gratitude for their leadership and support. October is a busy month in our district. In addition to National Principal Month, we are excited to celebrate Latinx Heritage Month. This vibrant celebration reflects our Latinx community's rich histories, cultures, and contributions. Columbus City Schools will host various educational events and activities throughout the month to promote understanding and appreciation. We invite all students, staff, and families to participate in these enriching experiences as we continue our commitment to equity and inclusion. Let's unite to honor the diverse backgrounds and stories that enrich our districts. Congratulations to Kevin Darthur Jr., Hamilton STEM's physical education teacher, for being awarded the prestigious Extra Yard for Teachers Award by the College Football Playoff Foundation. In a heartfelt surprise in front of his students, Coach Darthur received this honor from the Ohio State University Department of Athletics in recognition of his outstanding contributions to the OSU Life Sports program. In addition to his role at Hamilton STEM, Coach Darthur also coaches boys basketball at Linda McKinley High School. He was recognized during the OSU game against Marshall University on September 21st. Way to go, Coach Darthur. Adam Warren, South High School's head custodian, has been honored with the Ohio School Board Association's Exemplary School Employee Award. With 16 years of service to Columbus City Schools, Adam's contributions go far beyond maintaining the school's physical space. Whether greeting students with a smile or coaching on the field, Adam's dedication to nurturing a positive and supportive environment makes him a South High School community pillar. This well-deserved recognition reflects Adam's profound impact on students and staff. Congratulations, Adam. I am proud to announce that Columbus City Schools has been awarded a $431,800 grant as one of 34 schools receiving awards through the second round of the CTE Equipment Grant Program. This grant, announced by Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor John Husted, will enhance CCS's engineering and robotics programs, providing students with hands-on experience using state-of-the-art equipment. This grant will support the launch of a robotics smart automation program to meet the growing demands of the Columbus region. With this announcement, 6,330 additional students across Ohio will have the opportunity to pursue a career technical education, preparing them for high-demand careers aligned with Ohio's workforce needs. We are CCS proud. These have been your highlights from around the district for October. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening. Welcome to the October 1st, 2024 regular business meeting of the Columbus City Schools Board of Education. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adair.
Present.
Ms. Ingalls.
Present.
Vice President Dr. Pierce is absent. Ms. Reyes is absent. Mr. Simmons is absent. President Vera.
Here.
Mr. Cole. Perfect timing. You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Will you all please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Colleagues, tonight we do have guests for a public comment in addition to a resolution, our first monitoring report of the school year. We do have consent agenda items 9.1 to 24.4, in addition to additional legislation 25.1, and we also have an executive session. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adair.
Yes.
Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Ms. Ingalls.
Yes.
President Vera.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Before we get into our meeting for today, let me pull. Okay. I do want to just highlight a couple of different things. I believe it's crucial to revisit our core mission here at the Columbus Board of Education. We exist to prepare students for success in a global community, and this responsibility extends beyond our classrooms and campuses. Our mission is to encompass the entire Columbus City School District, from the families that actively engage in our schools to the residents who support our system, even if they don't have children attending one of our 113 schools or programs. As a member of the Columbus Board of Education, our duty is not only to manage and lead, but to also do it with the best, highest ethical standards. We are committed to operating with honesty, trust, fairness, and integrity, values that should guide every decision we make, every policy we endorse, and every statement we issue on behalf of the board. To that end, let me address our specific board policy on communication. Board Policy 0148 provides the board president is the official spokesperson for the board, and Board Policy 0123C states no individual board member has the authority to speak for the board, with the exception of the board president and his or her designee for commercial purposes only, unless the board has authorized such speech. These policies are not about limiting voices, but ensuring that we present a consistent message that aligns with our shared goals. It's about maintaining trust with our community, safeguarding our transparency, and protecting the integrity of our governance. We are not just building a public education system, we are striving to create a world-class educational model. Our success depends on the strength of our relationships, our ethical standards that we uphold, the trust we maintain with our stakeholders. Every voice matters, and every action counts as we work to ensure that Columbus City Schools continues to thrive. I want to emphasize the collective responsibility we bear as board members. Together, we represent the aspirations of our students, the expectations of our community, and the future of public education in Columbus. Our policies, like the one talking about governing who speaks on behalf of the board, are designed to keep us united in our mission. There's work to be done. Our students are depending on us, and our community at large is depending on us. The focus and priority has to be on restoring, repairing, and reinvesting in the present and the future of this district. At this time, I will move into public comment. Our first guest is Molly Wood. Topic to be addressed, special education. Ms. Wood, as you make your way, I do want to remind all of our guests this evening that you have 3 minutes to speak. And this is public comment, so there is not an opportunity for exchange at this moment, but certainly through office hours or any one of us board members would be more than happy to meet offline or during office hours. So good evening, Ms. Wood.
Good evening. Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Chapman, and administration. Again, I come to you today as an advocate for our students, families, and all special education staff to express my concerns about special education in this district and what has happened since I last spoke. Chronic lack of staffing, excessive caseloads of students with autism, and unsafe placements of students with intensive and severe disabilities. When I last spoke, I addressed the chronic lack of staffing in SLCs across the district, along with the autism law, which states that no more than 6 children with autism can be served by a licensed teacher. I also spoke about unsafe placements of students with intensive and severe disabilities. Update for Sullivan Elementary School is as follows. Dr. Todd Walker has made 2 visits to Sullivan Elementary School to see the current state of our specialized learning centers and to hear the needs of the staff and students. On 9/19, Sullivan got an additional IA to help support SLCs. On 9/20, I got an additional student with autism placed on my roster. This made my caseload 9 students with autism out of 10 students total. On 9/23, myself along with the other SLC teacher were directed that we were now responsible for the additional classroom and caseload that has no licensed intervention specialist. On 9/24, additional students were added to our classroom. This put our SLCs at 14 students in each classroom. 26 out of the 28 students are labeled AUM, which is autism served in a multiple disability room. I have spoke with 21 buildings across the district. Within these buildings, there are 50 SLCs. 30 out of 50 of these, or 60% of these classrooms, currently have caseloads of 10 or more students. Many of these teachers state that their classrooms are over the legal limit of students with autism. They also express concerns about severe behaviors requiring additional assistance or one-on-one aids to make sure that the needs of the students are being met and that everyone can remain safe. Concerns from teachers across the district, lack of support, large caseload sizes with severe and intensive disabilities, not enough IAs in buildings to support students, large number of students requiring one-on-one aids, some listed in their IEPs and are not receiving these services, the amount of students that have toileting needs, not getting or inconsistently getting contractual breaks and planning time, staff and other students getting hurt due to intensive behaviors, SLC students being inappropriately pushed into gen ed rooms with little support, and students being refused their right to participate in non-academic and or extracurricular activities with their gen ed peers, such as specials and field trips, due to lack of staffing. In conclusion, I've had multiple meetings with our district regarding staffing and safety concerns and will continue to do so until we can provide a free and appropriate public education to all of our special education students in CCS. I have seen some positive steps in addressing these needs of the staff and students, but we still need to do better. The morale in these buildings is low, and physically, mentally, and emotionally, we are drained. If we cannot retain teachers and provide appropriate services to these students, it is time for the district to take responsibility and consider alternative placements outside of Columbus City schools. Together, we need to take action for functional, safe, and fully staffed classrooms that our students deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. We appreciate your advocacy. Next, we will hear from Stephanie Cox. Topic to be addressed, class sizes. Ms. Cox, are you here? Feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, CCS board members. I am here on behalf of my twins who are both currently enrolled in primary SLC at Sullivan. A free education in a positive learning environment and the school you attend will be a safe place. These are a few of the many things we look forward to when we were told CCS would be the best place to send kids with special needs, and especially autism. I have to say, after 3 years of pre-K to prepare them for this and help them catch up with their peers, we are extremely disappointed in how this journey is starting out. Are we always going to have to fight for them to get the education that they deserve? And is this just going to be the beginning when they will already face too many struggles to count? We realize there is a staffing shortage, or at least that is the only answer we seem to be getting. There's a staffing shortage. And while in the meantime, our children fall further and further behind their peers, there needs to be at least 3 completely separate classes with this many students. It's my understanding that typically, and more important legally, the staff-student ratio is half, or in some cases, a third of what they are at Sullivan today. There's a reason for this, and even with the correct number of staff in the class, there are too many kids to keep regulated, with the vast majority of the classes having more than 12 autistic children, each all requiring substantial support, and their needs simply cannot be met. I know that my 2 students have been overstimulated and acting out in ways they never have before. I know that between mine and the more than 30 students between the 2 classes have yet to get even one of their SID minutes as required by the legally binding contract called an IEP. What exactly is that? It's a plan continues to have every student make up every minute in one summer, because I don't see how that would be possible. Lack of education issues aside, a huge factor for me, as well as many special needs parents, is always safety. I am sure you're aware of how dangerous this really is. Multiple severely autistic children with little to no sense of danger, minimal supervision with minimal staff. It's just not possible to keep them regulated enough to educate them at all. With it, this is the entire purpose of requiring smaller class sizes so that our kids have the same chance to learn as their peers, to do so in a safe, positive environment that you promise all of your students. We are a little more than a month into the school year. We've already had multiple instances of students attacking staff and peers. My own son came home with a bruise on his throat. I have a photo if anyone would like to see that. And my daughter was mildly hurt today, and all of these instances can be attributed to overstimulated kids who can't speak for themselves, don't understand what's happening, and act out their frustrations aggressively. Our kids are capable of so much more than people give them credit for if they're in an environment where they can thrive. This is not that. As a parent who lives in constant fear of the very real dangers of these kinds of situations, this honestly feels like a nightmare, and we simply cannot wait for the unthinkable to happen, because our kids deserve more than to be ignored. To be unsafe and ultimately uneducated because they happen to have a disability. If CCS is either unwilling or unable to provide that safe environment as promised, we have a right to know. And you have a duty to inform us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cox. Is there someone here that will be able to speak with her?
Yes.
All right. Next we will hear from Anawale Green. Topic to be addressed, student to staff ratio. Good evening, Mr. Green. Welcome back, sir.
Good evening, board members. I would like to start off by thanking Dr. Todd Walker for his efforts that he made going to Sullivan Elementary School twice to witness and see the classrooms and the conditions. I give him a big thank you for his efforts. Out of many that are involved, he made the first steps and was consistent and committed. Okay, let me go. As we discussed in our last meeting, the situation in our special education classrooms is urgent. Since then, the children's classrooms has increased from the legal limit of 6 to 8, depending on what it is, to 14, which has now posed a safety issue within the classrooms. As previous people have stated, staff and students are getting hurt because special needs students are being misplaced into classrooms or schools that they do not belong in. Additionally, I attribute that to their staff shortages and not being able to have the correct amount of aides to assist the teachers in being able to regulate their students, the special needs students, including my son, which is here, who also has behavioral act-outs where he'll get angry, pinch, or whatever aggression that he has. Teachers have to take away time from the regular special needs students to address those issues. Also, bathroom. My son is not potty trained. He is yet to understand how to be potty trained. He's fearful of the bathroom. It takes time. They have to now pull away an aide, which is 1, and leave the teacher alone with 14 students or 13 students to take care of at that time. We have to do something more. I don't know where it's lacking at or why. I know there's a shortage or hiring of, eligible people to put into the classrooms, but there has to be a better answer, at least in the next fiscal year, something. Because if it keeps up at this rate, I'm just going to pull my son. And I'm going to advise parents to pull their children. Because it's not safe. You have to think about the safety of the students. That's regular students, special needs students, and staff, and the teachers, everybody. Nobody wants to get up and go to school and get hurt or have to worry about, I can't teach because I have to worry about if this student's going to act out, if this is going to happen. Noel, go back and sit down. And this is a prime example. You have to stop what you're doing to address that behavior. I hope y'all really do understand, because I don't want something overnight, but some attention to this. The extra aid was great, but to double the students nullified it. What was the purpose of doing that? Sending your aid and then doubling your class. Makes no sense to me. I'm going to end it with that because there's a lot of other stuff. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Mr. Walker is here still as well, right? Okay. Let's see. Next, we will hear from President Nana Watson. Topic to be addressed: why does the district use cooperative purchasing agreements? Good evening, President Watson.
Good evening, President Vera, board members, Superintendent Chapman. For over a year, I have stood here asking the district to discontinue its use of cooperative purchasing agreement. To date, none of our inquiries have been addressed. As a result, the NAACP formally requests that you, the board, engage with administration to explain to the community why this system persists, especially when the approved contracts lack clear LED goals. They do not have those goals. Furthermore, do you, as board members, condone cooperative purchasing agreements, knowing that money is continuously leaving our community? You will soon be voting on a contract with a company located in Wilmington, North Carolina. At what point can the NAACP expect a response or a meeting to discuss this matter? It feels as though our requests have been disregarded. The NAACP has repeatedly asked for information, and now we are demanding a formal response from the administration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Watson. Next, we will hear from Isabel Hanson. Topic to be addressed: community concerns and questions. You have 3 minutes, Ms. Hanson.
Hello, I'm Isabel Hanson, a reporter and anchor with ABC6 and Fox 28. You might be wondering why I signed up to speak during public comment. To me, a journalist serves the community and is a vessel for people's voices. I take that responsibility seriously, which is why I'm here for CCS and charter school families asking their unanswered questions. I have 3 topics to address: transportation, board members' actions, and building closures and consolidations. First, transportation. We've been talking with charter and private school families since before this school year started. You've heard from them too during these board meetings. Some say they lost their jobs to ensure their kids could get to and from school. Now, the district's being sued by Attorney General Dave Yost. A charter school founder tells us the way the district handled this, including the notifications to families and schools, was, quote, not in the spirit of community and caring for families. Charter school leaders say they want to sit down with the transportation department to figure out a solution for everyone, but tell us that's not happening. What's being done to put all students first during this legal back and forth? My second point, board members' actions. Parents tell us the drama between board members is a distraction, taking away from what really matters, kids and their education. Faith leaders say they've lost confidence in you, the board's ability to prioritize the needs of students, teachers, and families, adding they're disheartened by members' divisive tactics. Are you, as board members, focusing on what parents and community members elected you to do? Finally, I'm here to address building closures and consolidations. During the board meeting on August 27th, families were told the board would have more updates on the process in October. Here we are. Did the work of the task force over the summer go to waste? Parents want to know when they'll see real movement in the process. To close, I've tried to approach you as board members multiple times during multiple meetings to ask these questions, only to be shut down every time. Before this meeting, President Vera was asked to take part in an interview and once again declined. My colleagues and I continuously ask for interviews and are turned down. Before the August 27th board meeting, security told me they were told to share that I could not approach you anymore in this public space. I know it's protocol that you will not respond to my questions during this meeting, but my request to sit down with any and all of you is still on the table. My phone number was attached to my public comment submission. I'll be there when you're ready to give answers to families and students, answers they deserve. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Corey Woods. Topic to be addressed, transportation, class size, COVID money. Good evening, Mr. Woods.
I don't even know where to begin on the transportation department. It's been a train wreck, to say the least. Our youngest two, their buses are supposed to come at our house at 8:40. It's literally a 7-minute drive to Solon Elementary from where we live because the bridge is closed. It's normally 5 minutes. That bus, the past 2 days, have literally came to our house about 9:05 in the morning. School starts at 9 o'clock. Breakfast starts at 8:30. I work night shift. I get off at 5. I get off. Our oldest daughter gets on the bus. I take my wife to work, come back, relax for a little bit, and then put them on the bus. That's eating into my sleep time in order for me to get up to get our oldest daughter off the bus, who the past 2 days, her buses came in the afternoon about 3:18. Supposed to come about 2:55, 3 o'clock. Maybe 3:05, okay. I mean, the amount of morning bus drivers that our youngest daughter, Isabella, and our son, Jasper, went through have, I don't know, it's probably 8 or 9. They just keep rotating. It's just, I don't know at what point, we brought all 3 of our kids. Our youngest, Isabella, she's the nonverbal autistic. She's in Miss Carpenter's classroom. Our son, thankfully, has been good. He's got behavioral issues. It's just, I mean, I don't know at what point the transportation department or the board's going to do something with I would assume it's the lack of drivers. Because I don't know if the buses, I don't know if the routes are being doubled up or whatnot. I don't know what the issue is. But it definitely needs to be addressed. As far as the classroom size goes, it's just beginning to, I'm not sure on the specifics and the laws, but my understanding was it was supposed to be 1 teacher and 2 aides, and probably no more than, I think it's like 8 students. So I just don't get how that's even possible that the school district could allow this, and then you guys are proposing closing, 7 or 9 different buildings down? How many special needs students are in those that are going to collapse into other schools? And just one last comment to get real quick, which is I'm kind of curious about the COVID funding money, because there was property tax levy that was on the ballot last year and it passed. Why was it even an issue when the COVID money, as far as best of my knowledge, wasn't spent? It could be used to spend to keep up on the schools, which is what the school district asked for from the federal government in the first place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Do we have somebody from transportation here?
Yes, we
Okay, Mr. Woods, meet our Mr. Woods, and there we go. Yes. Yes, okay. All right, colleagues, we're going to move into board matters, item 4.1, a resolution to celebrate the partnership between Columbus City Schools and the Franklin County Metro Park System. If I could please have Mr. Tim Maloney, Executive Director, Jill Snyder, and Renee Teffler to please join us at the podium. I do want to add that Mr. Maloney is actually a Whetstone grad, and so Ms. Teffler is actually a Northland grad, so thank you all for being here tonight. And we just wanted an opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for your continued partnership over the years and all the great work. I've had the pleasure in the spring to be over at South High School. You brought in a photographer, a world-renowned photographer who is also an alumni of South High School to talk about his journey with our students. And that wouldn't have been able to happen without your support, in addition to so many other amazing things that you do for our students in our district every day. And so I would like the opportunity to formally celebrate you. Whereas the mission of Columbus City Schools is to ensure every student is well educated, prepared for leadership and service, and empowered for success in a global community. And whereas the long-standing collaboration between Columbus City Schools and Franklin County Metro Parks exemplifies the positive impact of combining education with nature to shape the minds of future generations. And whereas Franklin County Metro Parks has served as a guardian of the community's natural resources for over 75 years, offering students invaluable opportunities to learn and explore with a mission to conserve open spaces and encourage discovery of the natural world. And whereas since 2000, the SEED program, Students Exploring Ecosystem Dynamics, has enriched the 5th grade life science curriculum, allowing over 105,000 students to engage with nature through hands-on field trips. And whereas the Columbus School Internship Program, launched in 2007, has introduced over 250 students to careers in natural resource management, with some choosing to work at Metro Parks professionally. And whereas the partnership between Columbus City Schools and Franklin County Metro Parks continues to thrive, with several Columbus graduates holding key roles within the Metro Parks system, including its executive director, director of human services, and deputy director, who also coaches at Whetstone High School. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Columbus Board of Education recognizes and celebrates the partnership between Columbus City Schools and Franklin County Metro Parks. That is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Ingles?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Very gratefully, yes.
President Vera?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything?
Other than Whetstone High School is obviously much better than Northland. I just want that on the official record.
Don't start no mess with me.
By the way, our offices are next to each other. We do that daily. Thank you for the education we receive. No, we love our partnership with Columbus Schools. Every time I hear about the CSI program or the SEED program, it's dumbfounding how many lives we, and I mean our two agencies, have been able to touch and get people outdoors. And you mentioned the Dudley Edmondson event down at South High, and it wasn't in the resolution, but now we're talking with South High students about careers in the outdoors. And it's not just working for Metro Parks, but it's an amazing partnership, and we cannot be more thankful to you guys for allowing us to be part of the educational and recreational opportunities here in Columbus.
Well, we thank you and we celebrate you. And let's give a round of applause for our partners over at Franklin County Metro Parks. Take a quick photo.
leave their keys? Hyundai Santa Cruz?
All right, colleagues, we're going to move into item 4.2, board monitoring, goal 3, closing opportunity gaps. I will hand it over to Superintendent Chapman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Vera, board members, and community members. In just a few seconds, we'll transition to our monitoring report and talking about our student outcomes focused governance framework. But before we transition into that work, I would like to provide just a brief update. This evening, we heard from several of our parents as well as staff members regarding their concerns related to special ed. And I want them to know that we have prioritized the needs of our students. We are aware that there are growing needs in our community and our students, and that enrollment and that data and those needs shift daily with each new student that enrolls. As a public school system, we do not deny the opportunity for our students to enroll in our schools, and we have to assign them to a classroom. As a part of that work, we are looking at our classroom assignments, our caseloads, and our staffing needs on a daily basis. And this is exactly the time of the year in October. In Columbus City Schools, it's known as fall right-sizing. But this is the time of the year where we look at our enrollment across the entire district, across 113 classrooms. And we look at class size, we look at caseloads, we look at teacher assignments. And this is the time of year where we begin to reflect on that data and make decisions in real time about how we can reallocate our resources to support the needs of our students and support the needs of our programs across the district. And so to our teachers, to our parents who have shared those concerns with you, I want you to know that we are meeting regularly to, again, review our enrollment, to review our staffing data, to make decisions. And we do see you, we hear you, we recognize the concerns. We are working with our building principals. They are giving us feedback on a regular basis. And again, you have our commitment that we are reallocating staff and resources to make sure that we are addressing these needs in real time. We'll continue to communicate and provide updates. For families, if they have questions about their child's individual needs, the best place to address that is at the school and talking with the team about the needs of their child's individual needs, because all of those needs are different. We certainly need to make sure that we're addressing the needs of our students on an individual basis. To our teachers, as they are raising concerns, you can certainly speak directly with their building principal. We are meeting regularly with our labor leaders to also check in to see what feedback they're receiving from their, whether it's classified staff or certificated staff, about those concerns. So we're receiving feedback from different levels. We are meeting regularly to monitor our enrollment and make changes and adjustments as the needs of our student body continue to change and grow every day. With each new enrollment, we have to be responsive to that, and we are. And I just want everyone to know that they have my commitment to making sure that we are prioritizing these needs across the district and being responsive to them. We recognize there is room for improvement. We recognize that we have had some staffing challenges, i.e. vacancies, right? And so now is the time where we can look at our enrollment. Now that the enrollment has somewhat settled, we've been in school since August, it's October, there may be opportunities where we can combine or collapse some classes, free up some vacancies, and reallocate those resources. This is the time of year where we finalize and firm up those decisions. So I just wanted to share that with you all so everyone knows that we are committed to continuing to prioritize these needs, and we're continuing to visit and check in with our teams at every school site to make sure we have a very good understanding of what the challenges are that we're working on. So we have a very good understanding, a shared understanding of what the needs are so we can be responsive to them. And so now I would like to transition. We're going to switch gears just a bit, and we're going to talk about our student outcomes focused governance framework. So this is the first monitoring report of the new school year, and so I would like to take just a few minutes to ground us all in our student outcomes focused governance work. And so tonight, we are focusing on one of the most critical areas of our work, closing opportunity gaps for our students. And as a district, we made significant progress last year, and we're excited to share some of the accomplishments of our most recent cohort of seniors. But first, I want to take a minute to familiarize our community with our student outcomes-focused governance framework and how monitoring reports and monitoring sessions align with this model. Tonight, I'll briefly review the model, share the purpose of monitoring reports, and review the monitoring calendar for when you can expect to participate in a monitoring session related to each of our goals and guardrails during the school year. And I'm not sure who has the clicker, but I'll be happy to. Next slide. We are using a process that prioritizes a focus on student outcomes above all else. This student outcomes-focused governance framework, developed and facilitated by our partners at the Council of Great City Schools, centers the work of the Board of Education on the vision and values expressed by our community of what we want our students to know and be able to do. The goals give my administration specific targets and priorities for achievement in 3 key areas: early literacy, math, and graduation. The goals calls for percentage increases to be met over a 5-year period. Simply put, the goal of monitoring is to review whether student outcome-focused goals and guardrails are being met. Next slide. The monitoring report provides evidence of progress toward our goals and guardrails. Each monitoring report will name the goal or guardrail being monitored, a graph showing how we have performed during the last 3 reporting periods and our current performance compared to the annual goal and end goal. I will provide my evaluation of whether we are on track or off track for meeting our goals, as well as the plan for any needed next steps. Each report will be approximately 3 but no longer than 5 pages, as the purpose of the report is to help the board understand the current reality for our students compared to the vision and values of our community and the goals you have adopted. Board members can expect to receive the report 1 week prior to the board meeting and have time to pose questions in advance of the monitoring session. Thank you to our board members who have submitted questions in advance of tonight's monitoring session. In addition, what's new this year, way that we have certainly personalized this model is that we have also carved out time in the day to invite board members to visit schools and see this work in action. So we've also scheduled school visits in advance of the monitoring session. So not only will you hear from me and Dr. Brown tonight, you also have an opportunity to see firsthand what these practices and strategies look like in action in our schools and in our classrooms. If our students are meeting or exceeding the goal, we are on track and will continue implementing the current strategies. If our students are not meeting or exceeding the goal, we are off track, and we will have a robust conversation to determine the root cause for being off track and the steps we'll take to get on track. During the monitoring sessions, which will occur tonight at tonight's meeting, these monitoring sessions are about understanding current student outcomes related to our goals. During this time, the community will see board members focus on what is true for students, asking questions such as what students are the data showing are moving or not moving, what else do we need to know about this data, why is the strategy working in this area, how can the board help? At the end of the monitoring session, the board will vote to accept or not accept the report. Our calendar for monitoring. As you can see, this calendar will support the board in meeting the expectation aligned to our governance model that at least 50% of board meetings are spent monitoring student outcomes. Each month, we will report on one of our goals or guardrails. The calendar of topics is driven largely by when data for that topic is available during the year. To the extent that we can make learning visible in our monitoring presentations, we will send the signal to our students, our teachers, our administrators, our staff, and community that by focusing on continuous improvement and learning as an organization, our student outcomes will improve. Thank you for the opportunity to provide this overview, and now I would like to provide our first monitoring report of the school year. We'll transition to the next presentation. Again, I would like to start tonight. We're providing a monitoring report on our board goal for matriculation. The board goal is called Closing Opportunity Gaps. This is our monitoring session. And I want to begin by just extending my heartfelt gratitude to our teachers and staff who invested time and dedication to the laser-like focus necessary to make sure that all of our high school students remain on track and are meeting all graduation requirements. And we will talk a little bit more about what that work has entailed over the last year. This report focuses on the targeted growth we have made on our graduation goals, including updates on our graduation rate. During this presentation, we are going to provide you with an update on graduation requirements over time and new graduation requirements that began in 2023. We're going to share some new baseline graduation data, and last, we're going to highlight some changes we made in our summer program for high schools with the focus on credit attainment and what we learned. You will hear me a couple of times during this report point out that the gains we see this year will not actually show up on this year's state report card, which we've just received, due to the way the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce set their criteria. This data will actually show up in our report card next school year. So I just want to repeat, the data that we're discussing right now is for last year's the graduating class from 2024, and this data will not show up on our state report card until next year. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Brown to walk us through our progress on our goal of closing the opportunity gap.
Good evening. Pleased to join you this evening and to be able to speak about the changes in our graduation rate this year. As Dr. Chapman mentioned, I really do want to extend a thank you to our students, our teachers, our counselors, and our principals at the high school level, and everybody else in terms of staff to support our students in this. We made a substantial improvement in our graduation rate this year, with the rate going up 4.9 percentage points in this year, even with the higher and more rigorous requirements that were imposed last year for that. This exceeds our highest pre-pandemic graduation rate and exceeds our goal for this year. When we look at this data broken down in terms of student groups, you can see that virtually every student group showed gain in this window. There were two student groups that had slight declines that were within 1%. I would actually call that relatively stable for that. They both, however, both of the groups that had a slight decline still exceeded the target for this year. The remaining 8 student groups had gains in excess of 2%, and we had 2 student groups that had double-digit gains, and those were the Hispanic students and our homeless students with improvements in excess of 13%. This is an incredibly ambitious gain that we've seen this year. I think it's a testament, again, to the hard work that our schools have been doing, that investment in a matriculation strategy that has helped keep kids on track and move through that process and stay on track. And again, just a huge thank you to everyone that contributed to this and the hard work of our students to be able to make this happen. With that, I'll return this back to Dr. Chapman.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. I am thrilled to share the success of our strategic focus on matriculation teams during the last school year, which has been instrumental in helping us to reach our goals. Our Chief of Transformation and Leadership, along with area superintendents, collaborated closely with principals and their staff during district professional development days. These sessions provided essential training on matriculation teams, facilitated the exchange of best practices among high schools across the district, and enabled a deep dive into specific student data. Principals then worked together to create tailored action plans for their schools, aiming at increasing student graduation numbers. Additionally, our high school principals have benefited from targeted job-embedded coaching provided by their area superintendents. This coaching utilized an inquiry model which empowered principals to pinpoint specific student learning challenges, identify related teacher practices, and evaluate their own practices to address gaps in student achievement. Central to this initiative was the collaborative development of a theory of action aimed at enhancing student outcomes. This approach was intentionally designed to bolster the instructional leadership of our school leaders, enabling them to more effectively coach and support their staff in delivering high-quality instruction. We are pleased to report that these targeted approaches are showing success in providing the critical support our students need to reach their graduation goals. Looking ahead, we are committed to refining our strategies, particularly by focusing on improving attendance and increasing engagement in instruction. We recognize that regular attendance and active participation in classes are crucial for student success and graduation. By continuing to support our matriculation teams and enhancing our efforts in these areas, we aim to build on our success and ensure that every student has the opportunity to thrive. To provide more time for learning, this past summer, we provided summer learning opportunities at every high school, which was a shift. We engaged more students, and those students earned more credits than the previous summer. Our students are earning credits earlier and are focused on the work they need to complete in order to be on track to graduate. Our principals, counselors, teachers continually tracked and monitored credits earned and provided individual encouragement to those students who needed the extra push to stay the course and meet the credit attainment goals. Because students were able to attend summer school at their home high schools, they were able to work with teachers they knew and had already built and established relationships with. This key lever attributed to the increase in credits earned. Through the implementation of matriculation teams with fidelity across the district, we made an intentional shift to personalize the communication and engagement with students, hone in on and building personalized relationships with our students and families, resulting in more credits earned towards graduation. We are starting to see gains in our on-track status of students in all cohorts, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. These gains can be attributed to the aligned and focused efforts of our high school staff, who met weekly over the school year and through the summer to assess the status of each and every student. This laser-like focus on data allowed students to receive the necessary support from their teachers, counselors, and principals. Staff set goals with students and celebrated their successes through incentives and encouragement, contributing to an increase in the number of students who attained credits and certainly graduation. This is why professional development days matter. Every PD day, high school principals and their teams are intensely focused on this board goal, ensuring that every student is accounted for and valued. Teachers work diligently with students throughout the year to help them earn credit and stay on track. Additionally, our bilingual liaisons have been instrumental in supporting our diverse student body, embodying the Levy Promise to provide equitable and inclusive support. Together, these concerted efforts made a significant impact on our students' educational journeys and our graduation rates. We are proud to have met our graduation goal this past school year, thanks to the effective implementation of matriculation teams and the collaborative efforts across the district. This achievement is a testament to the hard work and dedication of our students, who are now poised to take on new opportunities in higher education or the workforce. We know that high school graduation changes students' lives and puts them on a trajectory, opening doors to a brighter future, improving job prospects, and contributing to greater self-esteem and long-term success. Looking ahead to the 2024-2025 school year, we are committed to continuing this positive momentum and providing our students with the support they need to succeed. We thank you for your ongoing dedication to our students' success, and we're excited about the future as we work together to empower our students and shape their path to a promising future. I also want to name that here with us this evening, we have several of our high school administrators and staff and teachers and counselors who have been working diligently to support this goal. If we have anyone who has been working with our high school teams, matriculation teams, if you're still here, please stand. Thank you. Yes. We appreciate your support, your intentionality, and all of the due diligence that you have made to make sure that our students stay on track, they stay engaged, and certainly that we can help them reach their dreams and their goals. So thank you very much for being here with us. Board President Vera, this concludes our report. At this time, we'll answer any questions that you have. And in closing, this is a celebration. These are incredible gains that we are seeing in our graduation cohort, and we're thinking about that graduation goal. As Dr. Brown has said, our achievement at this point for last year exceeds our graduation rate pre-pandemic. That means that we have re-engaged our students. We are rebounding. We are making up all of the lost ground that we have lost over the years because of the disruption of a national, a global pandemic. And it is really, really exciting to see the progress that's happening across our district and the work that our staff is doing across all of our high schools to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chapman. Colleagues, before I open up the questions, I just wanted to remind you, in your binders, you do have just some guiding inserts regarding our monitoring process. As a reminder, this is for strategic questions rather than technical or tactical questions. And so at this time, Board Member Cole.
Thank you, Madam President. My first question is regarding the page 2 slide that shows graduation data as of August 2024. I just want to understand clarity. I just want to be clear. The state report card says we were 79 and several tenths. They reported that for the 23-24 school year. Just for clarity's sake, are we talking about 23-24, or are we talking about what you are projecting for 24-25 in terms of this 83%, 83 and 0.2%?
So the data that's on the report card for graduation always lags 1 year. So the data that's on this year's report card, the 23-24 report card, actually is the graduation data for the 22-23 cohort and the 21-22 cohort. What we're talking about is the 23-24 cohort, the students who graduated this past June and graduated in August. And this is what we anticipate to be the 4-year graduation rate on next year's report card. But this is not a projection. These are kids who graduated.
So at this point in time, because of the year lag, at this point in time, if I were asked the question at Kroger, I could say our youngsters, our children, are not only exceeding our goal, but they are progressively moving beyond the 79% into more than 8 of every 10 students graduating high school. And my other question to that effect is this for year 4? Is this a year 4 piece, or is this a year 5 graduation rate? We chronicle 2 years. We look at the 4-year and we look at the 5. And then you weighted them in the last presentation.
This is the 4-year graduation rate. And it's the highest 4-year graduation rate that we've had. It exceeds the pre-pandemic graduation rate.
Okay.
And our board goal that we set for closing opportunity gaps is our 4-year graduation rate. So we're monitoring, our monitoring session is aligned to our board goal. That's always going to be our 4-year graduation rate.
So to your point, when you're at Kroger, you can say just that. It's over 8 out of 10.
Thank you.
We are definitely moving the right way.
My last question, thank you so much. with regard to how we look at data. When we're looking at data, particularly for the 5-year cohort, are we looking at the type of, what is the demographic of that student body? What does that demographic encapsulate? For example, because I'm equally as concerned for our SPED students as well, right? Like all of us here. With that in mind, does a greater population of that type of student, is that captured in that demographic? I'd like to get an idea at some point in the future as well, where they're hitting the wall. So if I'm in that, what's happening section, what's happening to students in our 5th-year cohort in their academic journey, if I'm in that what section of asking the question.
Yes, and Board Member Cole, we can certainly look at that data. We'll make note of that question. But the data for our 5-year graduation cohort was not included in this monitoring session, again, because we're focused on the 4-year cohort. But we can certainly follow up with you.
I thank you.
Yeah.
Board Member Adair.
Thank you. First, I want to just congratulate everyone. I had the honor and privilege of going to a matriculation team meeting at Northland High School and got to watch it firsthand. And the way that the team worked together to really identify each student, the challenges each student faced, and figuring out resources was, exactly, I think it was really helpful for me as a board member to understand and watch the strategy work. The team was also very open and honest about the needs that they continued to need to really make sure that we were addressing some of the bigger issues, including being able to find students who were enrolled but may not be attending because they still count on our rolls. So I just want to thank the team at Northland for allowing me to watch that, and it was very helpful to watch that strategy on the ground. I did submit a whole bunch of questions which were answered by the administration, but one I think is if we could just kind of talk about this a little bit more in terms of strategy. Because our goal target that we set as a board for this, for 2028, is actually 83.2, which is what we hit this year. So if someone is looking at that and they say, oh, you just hit the 2028, one, how can we make sure we are maintaining? And 2, is that the right goal? And what are we kind of looking at in this next cohort? To, figure out, is this sustainable?
So in terms of the goal overall, we did set the goal and we have hit it at this point, and that is very unusual. So if you look across the state as a whole, it would be unusual for systems to hit this goal even on 4 years. So we definitely changed the trajectory. We had a downward trajectory for a long time. What I've said repeatedly to the board and to the community is that these types of gains tend not to go upward year over year like a step. So you go up a little bit, you come down a little bit, you go up a little bit. So it's, I think, far too premature. Only about 1 in 5 systems around the state make consecutive years of gain. So at this point, I think it really behooves us to stay the course, stay focused, solidify these gains, again, focusing also on what happens with our 5th-year cohort as well, because we have time to act on that with this group of kids currently, and continue to keep an eye on it. At some point in the future, 2 to 3 years down the road, if we are still consistently above this, then by all means we should recalibrate, by all means. But I think it's far too early to do that right now. I think there's a lot to celebrate here, but we haven't systematize this in a way that we could reliably say, oh, we're going to keep continuing to gain every single year. And if I, again, look at the data across the state as a whole, folk just don't do that. And the other thing, and I'll harken back to Dr. Kogan on this when he was here, the closer you get to the top, the harder it is to get those gains. So you start to see diminishing returns the closer and closer you get to 90% for systems or above.
And Dr. Chapman, what kind of resources or additional help do you need from the board? I know our staff told me personally, but I'd like to hear from you. What other resources do you need to continue to sustain and work on growing our graduation rate?
So first and foremost, and I was going to close with this after the questions, is we're talking about our graduation goal and whether or not we should reset. I want to make sure that I'm continuing to reiterate the need to prioritize our goals, right? When the board sets these goals, early literacy, matriculation, and graduation, I want to continue to reiterate that this is the signal that the board is sending to the administration and the staff that this is what we want you to prioritize. And so then we work throughout the year to realign our resources, whether that's staffing, funding, programming, time, to make sure that we are supporting and prioritizing these goals. We have clear focus, clear direction about making sure that this is the most important work across the district. And so when we're thinking about graduation and matriculation, we have teams meeting every week telling us what we need to order to make sure that we're keeping our students on track. That's our school-based teams, the schools telling us what they need. And so then we can then inform the next round of the budget cycle. We can then inform the next round of needs that strategies that we're prioritizing in our improvement process, our school improvement plan, to say this is what we need to be successful, but the most important thing is making sure that we have alignment. The board is committing to making sure that we're prioritizing these three goals. I'm prioritizing these goals. Our schools are prioritizing these goals. That type of alignment ensures that we stay focused on the most important work, and there aren't competing priorities. So I would say that that's where we are right now, in making sure that we continue to stay focused on our goals and make sure that we're sending the signal across the organization that this is the most important work of the district and these are our priorities.
Thank you. Dr. Chapman, I have one question, and I know you mentioned in the report the matriculation coaches are a huge part of the gains. Are there any other strategies that you felt like contributed to the success we've had?
So I think the matriculation teams, again, prior to us implementing this strategy, we were seeing pockets of success across the district. There were always exemplars across the district where schools were meeting or exceeding their graduation goal. What we've done is we've learned from our schools and our highly successful teams, what it takes, essentially the recipe for success, to making sure that we have the system in place to ensure that our students are successful. And so now we've replicated that across the district. But I want to name that just as a part of this monitoring process, a part of our work and our commitment to continuous improvement, we are approaching this work each and every day from a learner stance. That's what happens in these matriculation meetings. They are leading from an inquiry stance. They come together and they say, what is it that we need to know about these students who are either not attending? Why are they not attending school? What are the reasons? What are the barriers? What are the resources? What do we need to know about these students who are struggling academically in this course and they need this course to pass? What is it that we need to know about student attendance in this period if 10 students are absent from this? What is it? They're leading these conversations and modeling from an inquiry stance so that they can learn what resources we need, who we need to talk to, who we need to engage with, and leveraging support from partners and community members to kind of really embrace and lean in and support throughout the process. So everyone is leaning in from a learning stance. We're thinking at the school level, it's the matriculation team, and then that feeds up into the school improvement planning process or the building leadership team. All of that information feeds into the district leadership team. So we're using the information that we're gathering from our experts in the field who are working with our students every day, our teachers, our staff, our counselors, our social workers, and we're using that feedback to guide and inform district-wide strategy. So and the needs of our students change daily. Right? So what we may need today may look differently tomorrow based on the needs of our students, right? A student may be on track today, but they may be off track next week. And so then we have to pivot. And that's why it's so important that we are not approaching this work with a one-size-fits-all approach. We are approaching this work by leaning in with an inquiry stance and asking, what can we do better? How can we support our students? What else can we do? What is needed? And talking to, the folks who are on the ground and in the classrooms each and every day and who know our students best.
Thank you. Dr. Pierce?
I just have one quick question related to the 27%. So I think that was on slide 7. There we go. What do we need to know about that 27% that is completing those credits? Particularly interested to know if students are being impacted for their summer employment opportunities and internships.
This reflects data from our summer program. So these are students who enrolled in summer school, particularly at high school, at their home school. So they signed up to participate in summer learning opportunities, and they had an opportunity to earn additional credits. These were students who were, they may be students who missed the June graduation that were working to graduate in August. They may have been freshmen that were earning additional credits so that they could have additional credits so they could be a sophomore or junior and accelerate their learning. They may have been students who were working to graduate early. So these are all students who we provided an opportunity to engage in summer programming at their school site. The question around whether or not that impacted their summer employment, I don't have that information because that would have been certainly specific to an individual student. Students are only required to go to summer school if they're off track, but certainly we work with our families to provide them with opportunities to earn those credits during the year as well.
So we can't pinpoint that there's a particular nuance with, for example, our juniors going to make sure they're getting their algebra credit or things of that nature, that it's impacting maybe our 10th graders who might not have an opportunity to get summer employment. It's just a wide variety of students.
So this work, when we talk about summer experience and related to our graduation goal, we have not correlated this data with summer employment opportunities, if that's your question. But if you send that to us, we can certainly take a look at it.
And then my final question, I know when I sent that question, it related to one particular school. How can we ensure that all of our schools are seeing similar gains? What are we doing to help those schools that might not be seeing the significant gains that other schools are?
So I would say that all of our educators, teachers, principals, staff, they come to work every day with the best intentions, right? They all have the intention of helping our students grow and earn credits and matriculate. Each of our schools have individual goals. And so again, as I named before, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach. We have to make sure that we want to make continuous progress and growth with every school, as with every student. So if we have students enrolling as 9th graders and they are already off track, the supports that we would provide a 9th grader would be different from the supports we provide a 10th grader or a student who is on track. So it's really an individualized approach to make sure, as a system, we want to make sure that we're removing any of those barriers that are getting in the way. But it really, the magic happens in the matriculation team meeting. And I certainly invite you all to come and see that magic happening in action because it's really eye-opening. And there isn't just a magic wand that we can wave to address the needs a school-wide level is truly an individual needs and a one-on-one basis of thinking about what plan, what supports need to be in place for each individual student to ensure that they're earning the credits that they need to stay on track.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any, does that conclude your report, Dr. Chapman?
Yes, this concludes our report. And again, thank you to all of our team members who are here tonight. We could not do this work without you. We thank you for your support, dedication, and commitment to helping us reach and exceed our goal. Thank you.
I just need a motion to approve.
So moved.
You want to make the motion, Jen?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and motion that we accept the report presented by the superintendent on closing opportunity gaps that was presented to us earlier, as well as a formal presentation tonight, which shows that we are exceeding our goal.
So moved.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Ingles?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
No.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
President Vera?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Dr. Chapman, do you have any other report for us this evening?
No, that's all. That concludes my reports for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. O'Connor. How are you, sir?
Good, thanks.
Good. Do you have any report or updates for us?
No report tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Cook. How are you, sir?
Good evening. I'm well. How are you?
Good. Any updates for us?
A couple quick updates tonight. Want to highlight some legislation for our levy promises. Item 13.2 is layered safety and security measures. Item 15.2 is career advising expansion. Items 15.8 through 15.11 are bilingual family engagement supports. Item 15.14 is math PD. And then in conclusion, my team and I have been diligently working on putting the 5-year forecast together, which we will have for the board in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Cook. All right, colleagues, we will move on to our consent agenda consisting of items 9.1 to 24.2. Is there any item a board member would like to move for separate consideration? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Need a motion.
Sorry,
Okay.
President, did you mean 23.2?
Just go on what I have here. Is it 20?
Did the numbers change?
I think it might be 23.2.
I have it as 20. I have it as 24.4. Is that wrong?
That's correct. 'Cause it
24.4.
goes down to through the treasurer's
Correct.
office.
Okay, so I was
24.4.
right, right?
Just need a motion and then a second.
Okay.
Yes, you were
So is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
And there's a second?
Second.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Ingles?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
No.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
President Vera?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And then we have other legislation, item 25.1. Is there a motion to approve this legislation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Vice President Dr. Pierce?
Abstain.
Mr. Simmons?
No.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Ingles?
Yes.
President Vera?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, I will hand it over to Vice President Pierce for a motion for executive session.
Thank you. I move that the Board of Education move into executive session per section. It is recommended that the Board of Education recess into executive session per section 121.22 G1 Ohio Revised Code to consider the appointment, employment, or compensation of public employees.
That is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Ingles?
Yes.
Vice President Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Ms. Adair?
Yes.
President Vera?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, at this time, we will head into executive session. Thank you all for being here this evening. As a reminder, next month, our next board meeting will be October the 15th, where we will be having committee updates, task force updates, and some additional information that will be shared during that board meeting. Thank you all and have a good evening.